So when I was, this is how bad I suck as a manager. So when I was managing a team of developers, I would do, whenever somebody had a birthday, we would do something crazy to their cubicle. And so one time we lined everything they had with aluminum foil, just every computer gear, mouse, whatever. Then you have to keep taking it up. So the next time we did, it was a woman, and we did her entire cube as a princess's castle. So huge cardboard walls, a moat around it, a dragon, all kinds of things. And then one of the guys had a birthday, and we filled his entire cubicle with balloons. We saran wrapped around it and then lobbed in balloons all the way. That was nice. Covered everything with Post-it notes was another one. So I'm really bad at getting work done. I'm really good at celebrating birthdays. You think about it, as the team scales up, the number of birthdays you have, the less work that we get done.
Every day is a new prank that gets played.
Yes.
Which really should be office life anyway. If you're not playing at least one prank a day on a coworker, I don't think you're very good at your job.
Erica's, when she worked at one of the airlines, and they did 24 hours a day, you're always on call. And so she would be in on third shift in the middle of the night. She would work like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And the daytime employees would leave alarm clocks duct taped under the desk, set to go off at like 2:30, 3 a.m. to mariachi music, death metal, anything that they could find that was really jarring. Wow. So just all of a sudden at 3 a.m. the alarm clock goes off full blast while everybody's on the phone working.
That is magnificent.
Sounds like my house.
Yes. Another one would take bags of Fritos, or corn chips, whatever, and, walk around. He'd be eating things, and he'd offer other people stuff, except he would already have had something in his hand that he took from somewhere else. The bag he was showing you was loaded with pepper or cinnamon. So you would take something and eat on it and just immediately start gagging. Oh, so
that's
good.
Cruel.
Yep.
So if you guys aren't watching Runaways on Hulu, it's I enjoy it. I think it's really good.
What's the premise?
That one about?
So the premise is a bunch of teenagers find out that their parents are supervillains.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So and they start finding out that they have powers themselves. So then they're trying to figure out, well, one, what are these powers? And two, how do we stop our parents?
Oh, that's an interesting dynamic, because a lot of teenagers don't like their parents anyway. So there's that, I want to be the opposite of what my parents were.
Yeah, and you have the whole dynamic, too, of, well, maybe they're not so bad. So you see the glimpses of, hey, they're my parents, but yet they're still evil, so it's, and unlike the comic, I love the comic. I think the comic was great. It was done by Brian K. Vaughan in the early 2000s. But unlike the comic, they dive into more of the parent side. So as opposed to you just seeing the teens, you see the parent side as well. And you're like, well, maybe they're not so bad. Well, maybe there's a bigger picture at all this. And then something else will happen. You're like, no, they're bad. Well, maybe not. So it's a Hulu exclusive, super good. I've really been enjoying it.
Is it played as a comedy or drama or?
Teen dramedy.
Okay,
I guess I feel it's almost Buffy-esque in its feel. It's
Sure.
Teenage angsty type feel without all the quippy dialogue.
Nice. Well, we're at 45 minutes or 15 minutes past the hour. We'll go ahead and get started. Who knows
Time
what
to go.
it is. So, folks, feel free to put your questions in the GoToWebinar Q&A, and we will work through these first come, first serve. Sean says, I've been using SP Blitz first and logging the results every 15 minutes for the last week. And I'm using the new Power BI dashboard from the First Responder Kit. I'm seeing a lot of file stream work item queue waits. What causes this wait, and should I be concerned that it sometimes gets very high for a 15-minute period?
I don't know what causes that wait. I mean, it doesn't say what 2012, so it's not going to be anything in memory, because I know that Hackathon does have some file stream stuff going on. I mean, if you're using file stream, sure, maybe. But like my question would be, is it causing a problem? When it gets high, is your server under noticeable load in some other way that's hurting other user queries? I mean, if it's not causing a problem, then gosh, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, if you Google for it, and that's always what I would recommend that people do whenever you have a wait stat, because there's tons of detailed info. There's one in here, DBA Stack Exchange, where Aaron Bertrand elaborates that it doesn't seem to be anything that you should worry about. So I would also check and see, yeah, are you using FileStream? And why are you using FileStream?
That's the better question. Why are you using FileStream?
Was the file server not good enough?
Yeah, but it's not expensive enough. Wanted something more expensive. He says, is there a way to exclude just this weight from the Power BI chart as it's really throwing off the vertical scale? You can edit the queries in Power BI, so you can edit if you go into data sources, you can edit to exclude specific stuff. Or if you want, just file an issue at the First Responder Kit's GitHub repository, and we'll take a look at it too there.
No, that's what I was going to say. If that's one of those, if it's a weight stat that we shouldn't be looking at, then we can just add it to our list of exclusions anyway.
Plus, besides, it's FileStream. Let's look at the weights.
One of the 3 people using that in the world.
Steve asks a big old long question. Now, for multi-paragraph questions with lots of detail, usually you're best off at DBA.Stack Exchange. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom because you got all kinds of notes in here. You got stuff with Kerberos, all kinds of things. He finishes up by saying, is there a way to set up the listener so that it will connect me to the actual name? The listener is just a DNS entry that points around from place to place. So it just depends on what SQL servers you've got set up in the availability group. Not sure if I'm answering that quite the way you would want there. He says, I'm trying to get the named instance and listener working on something. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, the named instance. Ooh, each server. Ooh, this is looking a little tricky. Yeah, go ahead and post that on Stack Exchange. Go ahead and post that on dba.stackexchange.com because I think that there's some other details here that we would need to get. Julie says, regarding availability groups and clusters, what should return results with either ping or NS lookup? Cluster name, listener name, or nodes? All of them. You should be able to ping by cluster name. You should be able to ping by listener name. You should be able to ping by node name. Same thing with NS lookup. The Windows Firewall will influence that too. If you have Windows Firewall turned on, different either IPs or ports. But as long as you have Firewall turned off, you should be able to do any of those.
Turn off all your firewalls.
Yeah, who needs those?
That $15,000 Dell Sonic wall just...
And so we talked about briefly DBA.Stack Exchange. So you can go over here to DBA.Stack Exchange and ask a question. We answer questions over there all the time too as well. You can post, all kinds of detailed stuff inside there. Feel free to go over there. You can post your long questions. And
I answered a couple neat ones recently. Actually, just a couple of days ago. Let me track down some of those. One of them was about the number of locks that happen when you update a unique key index. Another one that I thought was really cool. Actually, I'll stick the link in Slack. So maybe you want to open it up. But I thought it was really neat because it was something that I had to look at a little bit because it wasn't like immediately obvious to me what was happening with it. Someone was complaining that when they ran isNull on a null date column and they wanted isNull to return just an empty string, it was returning a full date, and it was.
I saw that question.
Yeah, it was really cool. That is not it.
No, well, you didn't post the, ST Blitz.
I did. It's in Slack.
Thank you. No, it just says /questions.
Let's
see here. Top posts. Where is his recent answers? Not top. Show me the newest. Yeah, this is this. All right, so let's look at the question first because it was amazing. I have a date time column called doc date that I'm trying to evaluate an isNull against. Hold on, I'm going to move this thing so I can move it over on my monitor and not have to crank my neck sideways. So let's see here. It says, I have a datetime 2 column called doc date. I'm trying to evaluate an isNull against it and return a blank value instead of null. Here's the select statement. It returns 1901 because he's saying isNull doc date. That's doc date empty. Oh, because empty, I'm going to guess, empty strings parsed to 1900.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's so awesome because I didn't know that the first time I read this question. When I first read the question, I was like, I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, now I know. That's genius. So look at that. This is what a good answer is on dba.stackexchange.com is when you put in these kinds of repro codes so that other people can run your code and understand what the answer is. Oh, that's nicely done there. For your information, the reason for this is implicit data conversion.
Yeah, but okay. I have that in my answer.
Yeah. Obvious. All right, let's see. Julie says for an AG follow-up when the, for some reason my questions window broke. Let me get that back out.
I can read it. When listener IP address does not return info, like a non-existent domain, how do you troubleshoot that?
Oh, like the DNS lookup. Most times I've seen it is where the computer didn't have sufficient permissions to edit DNS entries. So you could either pre-stage that. Some people pre-stage the computer object either in DNS or in Active Directory, but that's the place that I would check first. You can also see it as startup. It'll say like SQL Server didn't have the permissions to create service provider name or DNS entries. You'll also see it, I want to say every 24 hours is an error in the error log as well, but that's the place that I would start.
I ran into some other weird ones where older DNS entries actually had to get deleted so that new DNS entries could get put in that reflect the right name and all that other stuff. So that's another one.
Adam says, what are the concerns and drawbacks to consider with using snapshot backups like Rubrik or Cohesity? Or Veeam's another good one.
Yeah, for me, there's a list of like 3 things. One is, are the snaps consistent? So if they're making sure that they're not dirty snaps that can cause corruption when you restore them. 2 is the quickness of the snaps. So you want to be looking at the error log. Excuse me, the SQL Server's error log will tell you when snapshots get taken, when data is frozen and then thawed. And if there's a big gap between the freeze and the thaw, like 10, 20, 30 seconds, then you need to be concerned because at that point, your backup is pausing all database activity for that amount of time. And the third one is restorability. I mentioned the dirty snap thing on this end. On the other end, I would want to make sure that whatever snaps I restore, I can also apply log backups or differential backups to them after I bring them on the line, that they're just not going to like bring me back to one single point in time, because at that point I'm putting myself at risk of losing perhaps more data than I'm comfortable with.
Let's see. Tammy says, in sys database permissions, there is a class and a major ID. My nose is tickling, which I'm allergic.
Bless you. In sys.database permissions, there is a class and major ID. Is there a shortcut to get the name for that ID regardless of the class, or do you have to join to the related tables like sys type, sys services, etc.? Ask Denny Cherry. He
no idea.
Like that.
Yeah, that's a good one for DBA Stack Exchange. We're totally punting that one over there. Sean says, don't use filestream. I don't want binary max using up my memory and buffer pool, but I want file history and coupling between files and their associated table records. What should I be using instead of filestream? Write to a file share. Whenever you need to up or write files to disk, write to a file share. Ideally, you work with your Windows admin so that it's a file share that people can write new files to, but they can't edit existing files. So people are forced to push in new versions every time. Then that way, if you need to restore from backup, your SQL data may be in the past, but your files are even there for the future. You're not losing those files. This is sometimes called a worm file system, write once, read many.
One thing I've seen used to help couple up changes and stuff like that is one, just like a plain timestamp column to tell you which is the newest version, and 2 is a hash of the file, so that you can figure out if there were any changes and what. And well, I mean, you can't like completely, deconstruct the changes, but you can figure out if there were changes and when the changes happened.
Yeah, and I've done both. And if you want to link the file to the actual record, you actually have to put the path in there, right? So whatever path you want, that's how you do it. If you find a use for it, then great, use it. Hardly anyone else does, because there's really no problem that people already have a working solution for with a file system, and just using a path, in the record. But yeah, I actually use the old what you were talking about, Eric, the old hash method. And you could actually
hash trick.
Yeah, you could just throw the hash in there, and if you want to check for duplicates, just check see if the same hash is there, and then if it is, then hey, we don't have to load this file, or we don't have to do something to this file.
Yep. I mean, again, that can help you, like Richie said, that can totally help you from having to, like, reload duplicative data. And the other thing I like about the hash is if you choose a strong enough hash, the chances of a collision are almost nil. So, like, hash bytes function in SQL Server can give you up to SHA-512, which, I mean, and for what you're doing, just generating it once in a while for a file like that, you're not going to burn up CPU like you would if you were trying to generate like a row-wise hash and keep track of duplicates.
Yeah, and I don't even think if I used that in SQL, everything was done on the app side as opposed to some heavy function in the SQL side. So I want my database to handle database stuff, and I want my app side to handle app stuff, right? And that's kind of an app type thing.
Sounds good to me.
Especially as cheap as app servers are relative to SQL Server at $7,000 a core for Enterprise Edition. Holy mackerel. Mike asks, have they worked out the bugs with the merge statement from 2008 in regards to indexed views? Well, so the place you always go to look is if you Google for merge and then Aaron Bertrand. Aaron wrote this post here, use caution with SQL Server's merge statement, and he lists the top, not all, but the top connect bugs with the merge statement. Produces deadlocks by design. So then you can click on each of these. Now, the note that the blog post here doesn't reflect the updated status of the connect items, so you'll want to click through to each of these so that you can feel just how bad it burns to feel won't fix even now in the year 2017.
I mean, the best thing to do about merge is that understand the issues, and if you want to go use it, go ahead, but just understand that you may run into some problems, and when you do, if you do, then you say, hey, it's a problem with merge. Maybe we should go to something else. But if a lot of people use it, a lot of people use to ingest, and it works. But there are problems. Just understand that there are problems with it.
And whenever someone tells me that they want to use merge, I just ask them what's wrong with insert and update.
I get that it's harder to code inserts and updates, that you kind of want it. You just want to point to one table and you want to point to a source file and a destination and just tell SQL Server, you work it out, baby. I get that sounds elegant, but
SQL Server isn't working it out though.
Well, I mean, the problem is now I got to go and I got to go read it, right? Is this an update? And if it is an update, now I got to go back and I got to do the update. And if it's not, then I got to do the insert. And that pattern is tiresome to write. So if I could just write one statement and it does it all and does my upsert, then beautiful, perfect. That's kind of how I want it. I'm not saying that it's in some of my Postgres code that I wrote recently, but it could be.
No, so actually that's an interesting question to me. Is merge better or more reliable in Postgres than it is in SQL Server? Is there a list of Postgres issues like this for merge, or is it like better developed or something?
I would probably say it's a little more tighter, but I didn't look for any issues because I know that I'm not going to be dealing with a lot of stuff. It's not going to be high volume stuff.
So if you search for Postgres merge statement bugs, you get the Aaron Bertrand post about SQL Server bugs.
Yeah, I don't think it's a merge statement
about merge.
I think it's upsert. Now I got to
go. Upsert is probably it. Yeah. Wow. Michael Swart has one too.
Yeah.
What? I don't even remember that one. So let's see. Postgres upsert statement.
Yeah, I have a couple.
There it is.
But it's not production code. Whoops.
It's okay. We embrace bugs here. We're all about bugs.
It's actually unit test code that I've got here that I'm running upserts with.
Excellent. But yeah,
I think that like if you don't have any bugs in your code, you're not trying to do anything all that interesting. You're just doing boring crap.
By that measure, we're trying to do a lot of really ambitious, interesting stuff here.
We are. That's the bar I want to set.
just if you agree with that, Brent, and I'm going to get a lot more sleep. It's going to be great. A lot more switch time. It's going to be awesome.
It's true. If you go to brentozar.com/blog, down here, the second most recent one as of this moment, okay, maybe third most recent one, Erik did a release of the first responder kit, and we fixed all kinds of bugs, all kinds of interesting
and added new ones.
And added new ones.
Beautiful new bugs.
Very cool. And of course, I always feel better too when I look at Microsoft's list of bugs. If you go to SQLServerUpdates.com and you look at the updates in any of the most recent CUs, although we were just talking about how sometimes people will say, is SQL Server ready for prime time before Service Pack 1? You know, I'm only going to wait for Service Pack 1. Well, now you don't have Service Pack 1 anymore. So starting with 2017, it's only cumulative updates. So, well, how long should I wait before these cumulative updates? If you look at CU2, the things that they fixed in CU2, none of them were really that scary.
It's a snooze fest.
Yeah.
They didn't fix the scary ones, Brent.
You know what I mean? When people say stuff, I'm like, okay, well, does SQL Server have any more bugs in it than your code base does? You know, it's like, how bad is your application? Is SQL Server really worse? What do you stand to lose?
All right, let's give this a shot. So SQL Server on the knowledge base article here, it says, "Hi, I'm your virtual agent. Tell me about the issue you need." So let's ask. Let's give it a shot. Hello. Let's say
2017 caused corruption.
2017 have less corruption bugs in it.
Does
it safe to deploy now? Let's see. I love how it looks like they're typing. They put the fake typing thing in there. So suggestions, this is what Microsoft is suggesting for us, is that we should just go to SQL Server 2016. That's what they're saying here.
Well, question answered.
That's just, yes. Did this solve the problem? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Thanks.
Great. Glad that worked. All right. What else should we ask? How many clustered indexes can a table have? Let's see if it would pass the interview question for a database administrator.
The Turing test.
Not bad. Cannot create more than one clustered index, but I don't have any other indexes.
How many databases can I have in my availability group?
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yes. All right. So how many databases can I have in my availability group? Let's see what she says. Get the databases that are not part, removing. Yeah, not a lot in there. All right, we'll try one other one. We'll say, let's see here. How do you spell always on, with or without a space? Always on or always on. And let's see what she says. Could you rephrase the question? Is always on or always on right for SQL Server?
Have you considered log shipping?
So as we can see here, the first two results have no space, and then the third result.
They don't even have consistent capitalization.
Well, this one's a forum, though. These two are forums,
okay.
So I guess I'll give them passes on.
I don't know that.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm using virtual agent. How am I supposed to know that?
Yeah. Are you having as good of a time as I am? No. Clearly not. All right.
When will Twitter turn that one into an awful racist?
So let's see here. Rick, back on our real day jobs. Rick says, when will us declare the scalar variable service start mode get fixed? I don't even know that that's a bug. What is that? Is that an SSMS bug, or where's that from?
I don't know. Now I want to go Google that variable.
Maybe it was asking us to ask the virtual agent.
Oh, scalar variable
there we go.
Service start mode get. Oops, no, I don't start typing.
When will America switch to the metric system?
Oh, damn it. SQL Server 17.3 doesn't work? SQL Server Management Studio 17.3 doesn't display SQL Server Agent? Oh, to a 2005 instance. Come on now. What year is this? I can click OK. So it looks like 2000, yeah, SQL Server Management Studio 17.3 can't connect to SSM or can't connect to SQL Server 2005's agent server. Oh, well, upgrade. Right. How hard can it be? No, and we asked recently we had a training class and we were asked, or it was at a group buy too, like we were asking what is the oldest version of SQL Server that people still support? And some people were still supporting 7 and 2000.
Nope.
You know, Andy Leonard too. During his SSIS, I was I was proctoring for Andy Leonard's SSIS course the last couple of days, and he asked a similar question about versions people still have to support, and there were people going all the way back to 2000, 2005. And I was just like, still in this day and age. And like I had a sales call today with someone, and the guy was talking about how he was virtualizing servers in their new environment, and he had moved a bunch of them onto new hardware, but they still hadn't been able to switch SQL Server versions, so they were still on like 2000 for about half a dozen servers. I was like, how do you even function?
Let's see here. So
this one gray beard in the back goes 4.3.
running on Windows NT 351.
You think about like a SQL Server 2000 box running today, like that thing can like join the army, buy scratch tickets. It's going into college. It's been driving for a couple years. Like it's probably already gotten a couple girls pregnant. It's
I was going to say the same thing.
I can see it on your face.
Yes.
Totally a deadbeat.
SpotlightEssentials.com. You can go click on Collective IQ at the top. This is Quest's free Spotlight version, and you can see what versions people are monitoring. In 2005, well, it is. I think this is lying.
At a 6,000 servers though.
Yeah,
6,000.
Not a big sample group there.
Wow. So 3% of them are still SQL Server 2005. 6213 times 3%, 186 servers out of the 6,200 are still SQL Server 2005.
That's bizarre.
Ooh.
Well, I like 1,700 2000, 0%. It still gets a piece of the pie. It still gets a part of the pie graph, but it's 0%. SQL Server 2017. That was a bunch of.
And this is why, and it looks like that's bigger percentage or slice than the 3%. And people wonder why.
Oh no, you're comparing.
Oh
you're
no,
comparing
I see that little slice there. Okay, got
it.
This is that kind of non-existent thing.
If this was,
it's like when you look at a chart. It's like when you look at a chart of world economies. That's Mauritania.
but again, pie charts suck, right? So this is it's still showing me the pie chart. My point still is valid. Pie charts suck.
So here's one that's not a pie chart. Although they put both. They put a pie and a bar chart. What percentage of servers are virtual versus? Wow. So 99% of Cisco servers are unhealthy. That's interesting. Okay.
Wow.
99% are unhealthy. What are they trying to say here?
But what does healthy mean?
I've been asking my wife that for a long time.
As you were eating that breakfast burrito, Brent? Is that what it was?
Well, and we go on vacation, and our favorite place for vacations now has breakfast margaritas. And I'm like, okay, so it's breakfast. It's got fruit jelly in it. That seems healthy and sane.
Could you please pass the jelly?
JH says, do y'all anticipate Microsoft to continue beyond SQL 2017 in supporting on-premises SQL Server, or do you suspect that they're going to strategically force people to go up to the cloud?
On-prem is still such a big chunk of licensing cash, and you know, there are too many legacy apps out in the world that just don't fit in the cloud right now. I mean, maybe that'll change in the next 3 to 5 years, but as of right now, there's no way for them to abandon on-prem.
Yeah,
they can keep pushing the envelope, and they keep pushing stuff with the cloud, but until you hit a point where it's like you have like a net new app ecosystem where every app is a new app and it started in the cloud, it's going to be tough to get everyone up there. Richie.
And they've said in the past, SQL Server, the box product, is $1 billion a year business. If you try to walk away from $1 billion a year business and push everyone into something else, there's going to be another competitor waiting there with open arms, Postgres, MySQL, whatever, going, sure, we'll take your money. So,
and everyone's been like, this is awesome. Why are we using SQL Server? And this was free?
Yeah.
No one's saying that about MySQL.
No, not.
This thing is overpriced.
I want my money back. And my data. What happened to both?
Ron says you can't drink all day unless you start early. This is true.
Chin, Ron. Chin.
Alex says, hi, I'm running Profiler with the Deadlock graph class events. In some cases, I get a number of parallel worker query thread was involved in a deadlock, but without an actual deadlock graph. Does that mean a deadlock was about to happen but hasn't happened eventually? You can get a query that happens with a deadlock in itself. You I don't know if your rules weren't set up quite right on the extended event session to not capture them.
Profiler.
Oh, Profiler. Oh.
Your old friend, Profiler. Don't blame my pal. That was your pal.
Oh.
That's intra-query parallelism. And when those deadlocks happen, I don't know if Profiler captures the XML for those reliably. You might need extended events for that. Yeah, or if you wanted to look at deadlocks, Brent, what could you do?
I know a guy who knows a guy. I would go to
Is he good looking?
Probably no, but he wears the same shirt every day, so he's kind of got that look down. If you go to firstresponderkit.org or if you go to brentozar.com and click on the tools up at the top, our good friend Erik Darling here has just written something called SP Blitz Lock.
Don't show the code.
It's not, Bob didn't click. It's not publicly documented yet, but it's amazing. You don't have to turn on a trace. You don't have to start extended events. It uses, Erik, where does it get this magical data from?
So since like SQL Server 2008 or 2008 R2, there's been the system health extended event session, which is just constantly running in the background, collecting stuff. It doesn't collect stuff forever. It banishes stuff out pretty quick. But for a pretty good amount of time, it will keep deadlock information and a chunk of the system health session. So by default, SP Blitzlock will go into the system health XML and pull out all of the XML that were part of the XML deadlock report. If you have an extended event session that's set up to capture deadlock XML, you can point it at the path for that too. But by default, it looks at the system health thing, and it will pull out all the deadlock XML stuff. It'll parse it out for you. It'll give you details on stuff, and it'll like roll up information into different tables to tell you, like which store procedures, tables, users, application, all sorts of stuff about what actually deadlocked. So I'm pretty psyched on it. It is V1, and you'll probably find bugs because there's only so much stuff that I can set up and test, and you people have crazy data out there, but it is pretty neat, and it does work on my machine.
And it works on my machine. And it worked on a client's machine as well, because of course we test it live. This machine that I'm working on here is not set up for demos. I'm just going to run to see out of curiosity, and of course it doesn't have any deadlocks, so that's fine. We won't demo it here.
No.
Just going to see if I had some.
Create a deadlock real quick and show them.
No, that sounds like a perfect thing for us to do next week at office hours. So we're right at the half-hour mark, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Dorian says, when is that coming out? It's actually already out. If you go grab our first responder kit, Erik dropped it yesterday afternoon.
There's a blog post coming out this week with details that there is stuff in the README file that documents the variables and some of the output.
Good stuff. And you don't even need to read it. Just go run SP Blitzlock and you'll be like, oh my God, this is everything I ever wanted. So good stuff. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us this weekend. We will see y'all next week at office hours. Adios, everybody.
Goodbye.